Brilliant. Okay, so a couple of options, lots of nice work this evening to strengthen through those tummy muscles, and then we are going to finish off with a nice kind of mobility and stretch through the spine. So yeah, hopefully feel nice and released by the end of this evening. So feet hip distance apart, let's just do a quick reminder of our setup. So you're going to have equal weight through both feet. So if you need to do a quick shift from side to side, please do so, and then plant yourself nice and equally with both feet taking equal pressure. Soft knees and hands on the brim of your pelvis. Let's just do a few of those pelvic tilts, firstly to warm the lower back up, but also to find that neutral position of your spine. So imagine that pelvis is a bucket of water, just tip out the front and the back, and then come to where you've got no spillages through your bucket. Melt your shoulders down and away from your ears, and grow tall through your spine as if someone's just lifting you up with a piece of string. Close your eyes and just breathe deeply. And keep those shoulders nice and heavy as you fill the air right up to the base of your lungs. And on your next breath out, just work into that pelvic floor, drawing your back passage up towards your front passage, as if you're trying to stop yourself from passing wind. Hold that tension and continue to breathe. And then when you're ready, just release the pelvic floor, open your eyes, and let's begin to move. So we're going to float up onto tiptoes, and then we're going to lower down. And as we lower down, we're just going to shift our weight across so we can lift one foot off the floor, coming into standing tabletop, down, back to feet hip distance apart, we push up, and then we do that standing tabletop on the opposite side. So we're really working to keep those hips level. So keep those hands on those hips, and just make sure that as you step on one side, your hip doesn't pop across. We're keeping that pelvis nice and level. Don't spill your bucket of water out the sides of that bucket. Take it nice and slow just to find that control. And if you need to, as you float that leg up, draw your tummy towards your spine just to give you a little bit more stability. Super, keep it going. So simple lift and then knee up. Remember, you don't have to bring that knee all the way up. You could just peel your heel off the floor. Maybe just hover your toe off the floor as well. Keep going from side to side. Let's get these legs nice and warm. Good evening, guys. Okay, this time we're going to hold that single leg lift. So you could be here. Maybe if your balance just isn't with you this evening, gently press that toe into the floor, but a really light pressure. Or we could be here. And we're going to stay here for a little bit, and let's work on our balance. So see if you can glance over to one shoulder, and then come back to the center and over to the opposite shoulder. Remember, this leg doesn't have to be lifted. If you find that balance challenge too hard, just touch your toe gently down towards the floor. Keep looking left to right. Huge challenge as we look from left to right, because we lose our focus point. Come back to the center. Okay, still with that knee lifted or that heel lifted. Standing leg, we're just going to do a little dip and push back up. Little dip, nothing too deep, but we're trying to keep that standing knee pointing forwards. I'll show you what that looks like if your knee isn't lifted off the floor. You're still taking most of your weight into your back leg. Good, looking good. Okay, let's add our dumb waiter here. So the elbows are tucked in at the waist. As we lower down, we open the palms, and then we come back up, arms forwards. If your leg is off the floor, you might want to touch down and reset, because these legs do get tired pretty quickly. Good stuff. We've got two more. Lovely. Okay, keep that dumb waiter open. This time we're going to stretch the arms out to the side as we lengthen the leg, and then draw the arms back in as we bend the knee. Stretch away and bend. I'll show you what that looks like if your foot's on the floor. So you're simply just sliding your foot along the floor and then sliding it back in again. It's the standing leg that's doing all the work, guys. So if it's too much of a struggle to do that with the foot off the floor, keep that foot down on the floor and just work through that stretch. Good. Keep those shoulders heavy. Two more. And one more. Super, now we're going to land with that foot out in front, keep those arms wide. So you should have one foot forwards, one foot back, turn your palms down towards the floor, and we're just going to take it into a little tilt over to one side to open up the side of the body. That feels good. Come back to the centre, and let's go over to the opposite side. Oh, nearly lost my balance. Good, just let your head relax down with that stretch, and again, up and over. Slowly flow, breathe deeply. Now's the time just to catch up with yourself after that strong balance test. Back to the centre, final side, up and over. Okay, back to the middle. We're doing it all over again. So you know your options, I will show you again, but see if you can challenge yourself. So swap your feet over, so the opposite foot is going to be taking the weight now, and we're going to float that leg up into either a standing tabletop or just with the heel lifted. So to begin with, hands on hips, we're just going to glance over from side to side. Okay, here or here. And really try and tuck that standing hip underneath. As those glutes tire, what tends to happen is the bottom kicks out. So tuck underneath. Lovely, once more, and then back to the centre. Okay, elbows tucked in, mini dips and waiter. Really squeeze those shoulder blades together, tuck those shoulder blades into those back pockets as you come into that dumb waiter. Remember, you could be here, taking most of your weight into your back leg, with your toe just gently pressed down on your front leg. Both options working super hard. 2 more. Okay, 1 more. Now we're going to add that leg stretch. So we lengthen the foot away as we reach the arms out to the side and then come back in. So we're gliding the foot forwards, either in the air or either along the floor. I don't mind what you're doing, so long as you feel like you're working hard and you're able to control that movement. If you're really wibbly wobbly up here and you haven't got that control, chances are you're using different muscle groups and you're not going to get the full benefit. So come down, we've got 2 more. Woo. 1 more, stretch away. This time plant that front foot down, reach those arms with the palms down, and then come into those side stretches. Good. Hopefully you feel a little bit looser this second side, so you can go a little bit deeper. Remembering we're just going to breathe and allow our bodies just to settle in to those stretches. 1 more on each side. Good. Okay, come back to the centre, and this time step your feet wide. Turn your feet to the corners of your mat and tuck your tailbone underneath. And we're going to work into some plie squats now. So the top half of the body stays nice and tall as we bend into the knees and then push through the heels. And as we push through the heels, we can do a little switch of that pelvic floor, switch it on to help us off, and release it to come down. So it's lifting us up as we go down. Lovely. Okay, bring your arms up to shoulder height, melt those shoulders down away from your ears, and then in between each of these plies we're going to add a twist. So as I turn to one side, I'm going to lift the opposite heel off the floor. So turn to the right, lift the left heel off the floor so you can twist, come back to the centre, down we go, and then we're going to go over to the opposite side. So I'm going to the left now, I'm just going to lift my right heel off the floor. And down. That twist should feel really lovely. You're looking to the side, maybe looking behind, depending on the movement of your spine. Keep those shoulders nice and relaxed though. I'm going to come and see you. So just keep repeating that. Down and twist. Lovely. And remember, you want to work those legs harder. You just go a bit deeper into that twist. Oh, good stuff. Looking really nice. Okay, 1 more on each side because I think they're good. And then once you've finished, come back to your centre. This time place your hands on your hips and we're going to come down into that plie. This time we're going to lift one heel off the floor and then we're going to look in the direction of that foot. come back to the center. Peel the opposite heel off the floor and then look over to that side. So the heel lifts, but the waist stays level and you're trying to stay nice and in the center. So you're not shifting your weight and we're getting those legs working. As we hold that plie, you should feel a good shake in those legs. Really squeeze your bottom, so open your knees in the direction of your toes. Make sure those shoulders are relaxed and make sure the top half of your body is nice and tall. We've got one more on each side, and then I've got a little treat for you. Looking back to the center, this time both heels are going to lift, and then we're going to drop the chin to the chest and look forwards. Both heels lift, chin comes down to chest, and we look forward. 6 more. Stay with me if you can. Just ignore that sensation. It will be over soon enough. 4 more. 3 more. If you need to, just stand up a little bit. 2 more. And 1 more. Super. Bring yourself back to stand and ease out those legs. Give them a shake if you need to. I sure do. Okay, we're going to come down onto our mats now. So just come to lie on your backs. We're going to set up in our rest position. That's lying on your back with your knees bent and your feet hip distance apart, where we're going to work into some tummy strengthening with lots of options. So choose what you want to work with this evening. Okay, so starting, let's just find that neutral position with the pelvis. So we're just going to roll on and off that little sponge that rests in the small of our back. And with this one, it's key to maintain a constant pressure on that sponge. So we don't want to squash the sponge completely, but we also don't want to lift our backs away from the sponge. So just a gentle pressure through that sponge. And then we're going to float one leg up into tabletop and then just push the rib cage ever so slightly down into the mat so you can bring the other leg up to meet it. We're going to just pause here and then slowly lower one leg down at a time. Okay, and repeat. So single leg, the rib cage just melts down so you can bring the other leg up, and then one leg down at a time. I think we should all be okay with that, but I'm just going to come and see how you're getting on. If you find that's too much of a struggle, just give me a little wave and I can pop something else in as an option. Looking good. So the further your feet away from your bottom when they land down on the mat, the harder you're working. So if you are finding it a bit hard, just bring your feet a bit closer to your bottom. Take it nice and slow. And then after this next one, we're going to bring both legs up into our tabletop position. And we're going to hold that double tabletop. Now, if you find that your legs get heavy, just bring one leg down and work in a single tabletop. But I reckon we can hold these. Hold the legs where they are. I'm going to float the arms up towards the ceiling now and really work to connect that rib cage down towards the waist. We're drawing that rib cage down as we reach one hand up and over to the top of the mat. Now you might not be able to go all the way. It's easy to cheat and lift your rib cage, but you're going to keep that tension as the arm reaches up and over, and then you're going to repeat that with the opposite arm. So we can use our breath out to float the arms up and over and in to come back. Now at some stage you will start to tire in your tummy, so you can just hug your knees towards your chest, give it a little shimmy and shake, and then set back up in that double tabletop, or maybe a single tabletop if the 2 legs just feel a little bit too heavy. Good. Remember, it's all about that rib cage. So keep that rib cage gently pressed down into the mat. Imagine you're lying on a lovely, warm and sandy beach and you're just printing your rib cage into the mat. Good. One more reach on each side, and then we'll all join together, tug our knees towards our chest as I show you where we're going next. So knees come to chest. Okay, now we're going to work the legs. So we're going to come back to that double tabletop with the hands reach up towards the ceiling. We've got 2 options here. Option number 1, a slightly lower level. We're just going to simply float the 1 foot down out of the tabletop and then float it back up into tabletop, and repeat that with the opposite side. So kind of familiar with what we were doing earlier as we were preparing to work up and build into our double tabletop. Now, if you find that that's okay, Then you can stretch the leg away, lengthen, 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 and then fold back into double tabletop. All the while maintaining that constant pressure on the sponge in the small of your back. So 2 options. Option 1, in and out of tabletop. Option 2, in and out of leg stretch. Okay, super. We're going to go for about 4 more on each side. I'm going to have a quick check-in on you guys, and then I want you to hug your knees towards your chest. Looks good. So some of you have probably worked out if you stretch your feet further away and lower to the mat, you work a bit harder. If you stretch your feet higher up towards the ceiling, it's a bit easier. Good. Remember when you come back into that tabletop to stack your knee over your hip. Don't let your knees come towards your tummy too close. Looking good. Okay, let's all have a hug of those knees towards the chest, because I'm sure those tummies are feeling tired now. Okay, we're building up to something. This is the grand finale. So last little bit of tummy work in this way. We're going to combine those 2 movements together. So we've got 2 levels. Your first level is here. So opposite arm and opposite leg. As I reach my right hand over to the top of the mat, I lower my left leg down towards the mat, and then I bring those 2 points back together again and repeat on the opposite side. So the left hand goes over and the right leg comes down. Let me just do that one more time. Really working hard not to let my lower back lift off my sponge, not to let my rib cage lift out of the sandy beach. Level 2, opposite arm, opposite leg stretches away. So you get a really long amount of length through the front of the body. You have to control that length as you slowly stretch away, really avoiding any of this, so no arching in the back. You should feel it in your tummy, not in your back. If you're feeling it in your back, please come down to the level before. Okay, keep it going. Let me see you. Well done, Jill, looks good. Very nice. Everyone's doing a really good job of this. Good couple of options there, really nice. Okay, 2 more on each side. Take them super slow, don't rush them. You'll feel the benefit of taking them slow. You can really challenge that lengthening. 1 more on each side, and then hug those knees towards your chest. Gently rock from side to side. Give that back a little massage as you're there. Good work, guys. So that was all about strengthening the tummy muscles as we create length through the body. We're going to add a little bit of crossbody work now, which fires up the oblique muscles that kind of twist through the trunk. So I'd like you to float one leg up into tabletop. It doesn't matter which one. In fact, let's all go left leg, and then I can cue you with the same side. So left leg floats up in tabletop. Now I want you to imagine that there's a button underneath your right hip. And sometimes you can just slide your flat hand underneath your hip just to check in on that button. And you want to keep a constant pressure on that button as you float your left leg out to the side. Now you'll notice as that left leg comes out to the side, you'll want to lift your hip off that button, but you've got to work to stabilize and push that left hip down into the button. Take it as far as you can and then draw it back in. Now it doesn't actually matter how far it goes, it's about how controlled you can perform that movement without lifting your hip off that button. Let's do a couple more and just check in on that control. And you'll feel that bringing your leg back in, or it feels quite heavy to draw it back in. Okay, 1 more, and then if you're happy that you're not lifting off your button, we're going to interlace the fingers and support the head. Now by supporting the head, we're going to start to add a little bit of an oblique prep. So when the knee comes back to the center, I want you to slide your ribcage down towards your waist and take your opposite shoulder across towards that knee in a twisting motion. And then we lower the shoulders back down and we repeat that opening movement at the hip. So the knee floats out, it floats back in, and then we cross shoulder to knee. It's not elbow to knee, so we're keeping the elbows nice and wide and letting the shoulder lead that movement. Hip floats out, comes back in, across the body we take it. And you should feel that tightening of that muscle across your body, over your tummy, as you draw your shoulder towards your opposite knee. You don't need to come too high, even if you're just here to begin with, that's absolutely fine. But make sure the rib cage drives the movement and not the neck. And if that feels like it's too much of a challenge, please just work on opening and closing through the hip. Let me come and see you. Lovely, Lydia. Well done, Becky, good movement. Really nice. Watch those elbows don't start to creep in. Okay, super. We're going to do a couple of repetitions on that same side now. So keep your left leg in tabletop, and then we're just going to repeat lifting and lowering with the opposite shoulder to the opposite knee. Right shoulder across to left knee. Imagine an X drawn across your tummy, and you're just shortening that one diagonal line through your body, tightening your tummy muscles. We've got 3 more, and we've got 1 more. Lovely. Okay, lower down, drop that left leg out into tabletop, and then reset. So we're going to bring that left hand under the left hip now, checking in on that button, and we're going to float that right leg into tabletop now. Okay, now from tabletop, we're just going to let that right knee fall out to the side. Don't let your left hip lift off that button. No cheating, keep that pressure on that button, and then fold that knee back in. Let's be a bit more precise with this movement now. So just glance down at your leg. Your foot should stay hidden behind your knee. If you can see your foot poking out either to the left or the right, the chances are you're twisting at the hip. And we don't want a twisting movement to achieve that dropout. We want a nice movement, taking the knee out in line with the hip and the foot. Okay, when you're ready and you're happy that you're not lifting your left hip, let's interlace those fingers and add that crossbody. But this time we take the left shoulder over to the right knee, letting the rib cage drive that movement. Good work. And across. So the hip twist to begin with. Hip twist is where the knee drops out to the side, and then oblique prep as we cross the shoulder over the body. Then we come and see you. Lovely, Lauren. Yeah, Julia looks good. Afshin, Fiona, everyone, really good job. Okay, let's hold this next one. And let's repeat those twists now. So over we go and down. Over we go and down. 4 more. Breathe out if you can to float up and in to come back. 2 more. And 1 more. Lovely. Rest down and hug those knees towards your chest. Okay, last little challenge for the tummies, and then we've got that lovely mobility stretch and flow through the back. Okay, 2 levels. We're going to add those oblique twists, but this time we're going to alternate. So I'll show you what that looks like. Interlace the fingers, support behind the heads. Just have your elbows just in your peripheral vision and keep them there. Don't draw them any closer. We slide the rib cage down towards the waist so we can float the head and shoulders off the mat. And then from here, we twist and twist. Okay, so I'm taking my opposite shoulder to opposite hip, and I'm letting my rib cage really guide that movement. Now, if that feels like a challenge, what you can do is rest down in between to reset and lower. Twist and lower. Or you can keep the head lifted. Do about 6 on each side, pause, reset, and go again. Nice, Afshin, looks good. And if you want to work harder, bring those legs into double tabletop. Any takers? Very good, well done guys. Okay, I'm going to give you a countdown and join in. We are here for 10, keep twisting. 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Oh, hook the knees towards the chest. It should feel like it needs it. Good stuff. Okay, we're going to finish with a good stretch. So come to lie on your tummy and we're going to go straight into a cobra stretch. And that should feel glorious as it just stretches all those tummy muscles out. So we can be here in a baby cobra, or we can be here in our full cobra. The full cobra really gives you a good tug through the tummy. So feet slightly wider than the hips, drop the pelvis down towards your mat, drop your shoulders down towards your ears and look forwards, not towards your ears, away from your ears, and look forwards or look upwards. Now, for some of us, this position is quite hard to hold. So if that's the case for you, then just come down, rest, and then reset. Enjoy that stretch though, so don't push it, just go with what is comfortable for you. Okay, tuck the toes underneath and then just bring yourself into a box position. Okay, so you should be able to just push back towards your heels. And then from here, we're going to roll the chin towards the chest and let the head hang down. And then just bring the head back to a neutral-ish position. And then again, roll the chin down towards the chest, let the head hang down. And then back to neutral. Let's do that once more. So really heavy head. Just let the weight of your neck and shoulder heads just kind of open up all those joints in your neck, and then come back to the center. Okay, now we're going to do our tail swish. So imagine you've got a big bushy tail and you're just going to swish your tail from side to side. So you're tightening the side of your body, taking your hips towards your rib cage, and then stretching your hips away. And once you're happy with what you're doing, just try and find that neutral neck position so that you're looking down to your mat between your hands. A few more swishes. And then find that central position. Let's take it to cat stretch. So tuck your tailbone underneath, draw your tummy towards your spine, push through the heels of your hands. Again, your chin can drop down towards your chest. And then come back to the center, go to cow stretch now. So drop the tummy down, arch the back and look forwards. Let's go again, tuck underneath, round the back, draw the tummy towards the spine, chin to chest. And back to cow stretch, arch the back. You'll probably feel your tummy with this one because we've just worked it super hard. And then find your neutral position. Okay, let's twist now. So we're going to go into our thread the needle. It's going to come a little bit closer to you. So thread the needle, we take the back of one hand and pass it in the underside of the opposite shoulder, and then lower your body down towards the mat. You do that by bending your front arm. And just hang out here for a minute, guys. Let's just breathe. We don't usually stretch into this position. We kind of come in and out of it. So just going to hold this one for a little bit, and then we're going to open through the chest. So come out of that twist, and then this time you're going to look up towards the ceiling behind you. Now you can either do that by pulling the elbow up towards the ceiling or reaching the hand up. Now if you're a bit stiff in your upper back, you might find it's hard to open up the chest completely, so just pull through the elbow or lift through the hand. Okay, come back to your box position, and we're going to do that on the opposite side now. So you're going to thread through with the opposite hand, lower down towards your mat, take the back of the shoulder and the head down. If you can just really trust your body, you should be able to lower yourself down towards the mat so you can rest that head down. But I appreciate if you're a little bit stiff, it's tough. Okay, and then we're going to go to that opening side, reaching up elbow or hand. Beautiful. Let's come back to the center. I think we should do one more of those on each side. So now we know what we're doing, we can try and just push a little bit more deeply, remembering that our breathing is going to help us. So a nice relaxed breath, just to ease your body into that twist. Go into that thread the needle and see, oh wow, these look great. Okay, and then come to that same side, but open out into the chest. Beautiful. Okay, Let's go over to that final side in your own time. Looking good, really enjoying these. I hope you're finding them beneficial. We're almost there. And then your final opening, looking up, elbows or hands reaching up. Super, and then come back to the centre, and let's just finish with a shelf stretch. So just simply drop your heels back towards your hips. Sorry, hips towards your heels. You can open your knees a little bit more if you need, just to let the hips open. And then you're just going to drop your head down towards your mat. Reach your shoulders away, and then just let your arms relax down onto the mat. And let's just rest here for a moment. We're going to do 3 nice deep Pilates breaths to finish for this evening. So big deep breath in through the nose. Feel that rib cage lift you away from the mat ever so slightly. And breathe out. 2 more breaths. Breathe in. And out. And 1 more breath. Breathe in. And breathe out. Lovely. Now I am happy for you to hang out there for a little bit longer. If that stillness just feels really refreshing, really nice, or you can come and say goodbye when you're ready.